it's Tiffany with the Bloomery out of Hopkinsville, Kentucky, and we have recently shared with you guys the way that we put up sweet corn. And so today I want to take a moment and just show you and walk you through the steps for that. So to put up sweet corn the way that we do it, you actually don't need a lot of stuff. So we've got a big bowl that we're going to be cutting it off in and mixing it up. We've got salt, sugar, measuring cup. You're going to need one that measures 1 cup, a measuring spoon that measures in teaspoons. We've got a funnel because that's going to help us put the corn into the bag without making a mess. We've got our brushes to clean the corn. And then I actually have a few different tools that I'm going to show you that really help with getting the corn off the cob easily. And depending on what portion size you need, you've got the Ziploc bags that are for the freezer, because we're going to be freezing our corn, and we've got the quart ones and the gallon ones. So it kind of depends on what portion size you're going to feed your family. So when we shared this recently, a lot of people asked about sugar, and they said, it's already sweet corn, do you have to put sugar in it? And the answer is no. We have followed the way our grandparents did it, and they always added sugar, and it turned out good, and it's worked good, and we just continue to do it that way. But you actually can leave the sugar out if you don't want to put it in the corn and it's already sweet enough for you. Just leave that out. So I want to show you 3 of our favorite tools that we use to cut corn off the cob. This is a tool from Pampered Chef, and we've had it forever. I use it at supper all the time to cut the corn off the cob for my kids. It's really simple to use. We've got this one that opens and you put the cob in the middle, and then you take it and you push down and it gets all the kernels off. So it's real easy to use. And then I also have this one that is kind of like an apple corer, if you've ever used one of those. Our recipe that we follow to freeze corn requires 13 cups of corn, 1 cup of sugar, and 2 teaspoons of salt. So the first thing that you're going to want to do is to shuck your corn, silk it, pull all that off. So get all that off. Clean it up. You can see I've already started doing quite a bit. Kind of just getting going here. We've got a lot of sweet corn that's going to be coming in. We planted late. I think I've talked to you all about that before, that the spring is kind of crazy for us, so sometimes we get ours planted a little late. So sometimes we put it up later than most people do. Okay, so I'm going to get all these silks off. And the silk, sometimes I know people use different terminology and different things, but the silk is just this part at the top of the cob here. And we're going to talk to you a little bit too about how to know when your corn is ready to pick in a different video. So if you've grown your sweet corn organically, sometimes you may find a bug or a worm or something in the top of it. Just break that off, cut out the bad spot, and go on. This one actually is really good. You know, we haven't really seen a lot of that in our corn. We've had a couple of bad spots so far, but if you do, just cut that off, break it off, whatever you need to do, and just move on and use the rest of the corn on your cob. So one thing that's really important to remember the way that we do it is you're not gonna cook it, so it's really easy, it's fast. If you've got a couple people helping, you can put up a lot of corn in a short amount of time. But you don't want to wash your corn, so be sure that you don't get it wet and wash it. So the first tool I'm going to show you is the Pampered Chef one, and it very easily just takes that corn off the cob. You just push down, it gets it off here. Now I try not to leave any on there, so. So I always go through with the little butter knife and just kind of scrape the cob after I get the corn off of it here. Okay, the next tool that we're going to show you is the one that opens up and you put the cob in it at the top, and then you squeeze it as tight as you can, and you just push down. And then I always take, you know, there's always a few that gets left behind by this one, and I just take this one and I just kind of go over it. And you can kind of do whatever's easiest for you, what's the fastest way, so that you're not missing any. And probably the fastest and easiest way to get the corn off the cob is to get this little fella, and you just stick the corn on the end like that, and then you start cranking, and it peels it off, falls onto the plate, and then it gets to a certain point where it stops, and you pull the corn cob off and you flip it around and do the other side. It gets it all off. Nice and easy. So if you're wondering what this is, it is the Norpro brand, quality for the cook it says. It's a double barrel grater slicer with a corn cutter, and it does the grating, the slicing, but my favorite use for it is definitely cutting corn off the cob. So if you're doing this job by yourself, there's different things that you can do to make it easier for you. I've got my bowl propped up here against the counter and propped up with some boxes. And I've got this little corn cutter latched on. It actually latches to the countertop where that it won't move. It's real sturdy. And I can just go to town and get it done quickly by myself here. Still got some on there. And just remember, if you don't have any kind of corn cutter, a knife works. That's what Grandma used and everyone else back in the old days, and we still use a knife sometimes, especially when we have a bunch of people going, cutting corn off. We've got this, both of these little corn cutters here, and lots of people with knives cutting it off the cob. So now I've got all my corn cut off here in this bowl. And I'm going to put 13 cups into another bowl, along with a cup of sugar and 2 teaspoons of salt. I have all my ingredients in this bowl. I'm going to mix it really well and then let it sit for 10 minutes. So today I've cut off 3 dozen ears of corn, and that made about 19 cups of corn for us to freeze. And I've just got my quart Ziploc bags here that are for the freezer. You want to get the ones that are specified for the freezer. And I'm just going to dip my corn, put it in the bag. Sometimes we use a funnel just if we have help and we don't want it to be so messy. Get this here full. And I don't fill it all the way up to the top. I want to leave a little bit of headspace there. Okay. And I chose to do quart-size bags because I like to use the corn sometimes in things like soups or for other purposes, and a quart-size bag fits that purpose well. So after you get your bags filled up, you're going to want to make sure that they're sealed well, and then put the date that you are putting this corn up, and then you're going to stick it in the freezer, and it'll be ready for you to eat whenever you're ready for it. After you have put all your corn up, you want to try to use it up within a year's time, because that's when it's its best quality. It is okay to eat it past a year or so, but that's the very best to eat. So when I'm ready to cook it, what I'm going to do is take it out of the freezer and let it thaw. And I always mix in a little bit of cornstarch and some butter with it, kind of make like a cream style corn when we're using it just for regular corn, not like soups and things. And it's wonderful to eat. We eat on it all year. Everybody enjoys it. It has a good flavor to it, and it's perfect to enjoy. So I encourage you to try putting up your own sweet corn this way. It's super fast, super easy. One person can do it by themselves, but it's always fun to do it as a group and sit around and talk while you do it. Thank you for watching, for being a part of the Bloomery, and I hope that you will try putting up your own sweet corn this way. It's a super easy way to do it. Be sure to follow along on all of our social media outlets and check out our website at www.thebloomeryky.com.